Okay, so we have found ourselves in New Orleans, Louisiana. And we're going to be looking at, amongst a bunch of them, these are the two that we're talking about. Sergeant Kevin Thompson and SPO Troy Daliet. Now, SPO is Special Police Officer, because apparently they don't have enough fucking ranking structure in New Orleans. They're just handing out titles like candy. A Special Police Officer. And we're going to see what they're up to, but first we're going to take a little, this is a little insight into getting into, like, the police department.
The number of boots-on-the-ground police officers continues to shrink in New Orleans, but on a positive note, the number of applications has increased in recent months since the city announced signing bonuses.
Yet, keeping up with the rate of
signing bonuses, money will always attract a lot of criminals.
Departures continues to be a big struggle for the NOPD, and Paul Murphy is following that story for tonight. He's joining us now in the studio with the latest on these pretty disturbing numbers.
Yeah, Katie, Devin, the Police Association of New Orleans says that the NOPD has already lost about 10 officers since the beginning of the year, and we are learning that only 1% of the men and women who applied to be an NOPD officer last year were ultimately hired by the department.
It must be hard to be an NOPD officer. It must be hard to keep your job. They must have some higher standards.
The number of criminal offenses is high in New Orleans at a time when the number of police officers is low.
You don't say it so?
And getting lower. Crime consultant Jeff Asher told the city council the NOPD now stands at 929 commissioned officers. That's down from more than 1,200 less than 4 years ago. He says keeping up with the rate of attrition is difficult when you consider the small percentage of applicants who actually make it through the vetting and training process.
The vetting and training process. How often do they get vetted after they're hired? I don't know.
There were 25 new officers hired last year out of 2,590 applicants. You're looking at 1 to 1.5% of applicants being hired.
Former NOPD Superintendent Ronald Surpass says the ratio of applicants to new hires has dropped in recent years.
In my years of experience, somewhere between 5 to 10% of the applicants would make it all the way to a decision to hire and put in an academy. And then you're still going to lose some percentage of that in the academy.
Police Association of New Orleans attorney Eric Hessler says out of the 2,590 applicants, only about 450 showed up to take the NOPD entrance exam.
We need more applicants. It's kind of like a funnel. We need more applicants at the top because the neck is so narrow because of the stringent requirements.
Stringent requirements to get a job? What are the requirements to keep the job?
Recommends the NOPD start a cadet program in local high schools and community colleges to create a pipeline for potential new hires.
No, keep them out of the high schools. Colleges, they're adults. No, keep them out of the high schools.
He also said the department has to find a way to improve morale since fellow cops are the best recruiters.
How your own officers
Fellow cops are the best recruiters. Keep that in mind.
are talking about you is a very good predictor of how much interest you're going to have in the candidates that you will eventually see more desirable to hire.
Hessler agrees how the department is perceived by the rank and file is hurting recruitment.
We've said it before and I'll say it again. They need to change some of the ways that they treat their officers. They need to change their promotional system. They need to keep working on the disciplinary system.
Keep working on the disciplinary system. Keep that in mind.
Pano says the NOPD lost 168 officers in 2022, and right now the ratio of officers leaving the department is more than 6 times greater than the number of new hires.
Alrighty, so what is the NOPD up to now?
We have shocking video of New Orleans police officers not enforcing the law, but breaking it. And this exclusive David Hammer investigation, we see NOPD officers caught driving drunk and then arguing with the state troopers who arrested them. And even after they were convicted of DWI, the officers kept their jobs, ranks, and even got a pay raise.
And this is March 18th, 2025.
2 drunk drivers in separate stops by state police.
Yeah, anything to drink tonight, Mr. Troy?
No, absolutely not.
And look, I did it like I sat in the passenger seat because I knew I was drunk.
Both drivers stumbling through field sobriety tests.
You're moving your head. I need you to follow with your eyes and your eyes only.
But when I follow with my eyes only, you tell me I'm not.
He even sounds drunk.
1,001, 1,002, 1,003. And look,
arguing with the troopers.
He's trying to play me like I'm a fool. I already know this test. I'm good. I'm good.
I can't be in handcuffs because I've never done this.
I can't be in handcuffs. I've never done this before. Please give me a damn break.
And both of these drunk drivers are New Orleans police officers.
Nothing to drink? You need narcotics or anything tonight?
Really? 6th District, NOPD. So I've had nothing.
Safe.
That was supposed to be his get out of jail free card, and it was not.
Yeah. I work for NOPD.
Independent police watchdog Skip Gallagher got these videos and much more after fighting in court to get the NOPD's public records on police pay and discipline.
How long have you been working on this?
Over 4 years now. Over 4 years.
Gallagher collected and compiled thousands of records. They show at least 65 current NOPD officers with domestic violence, payroll fraud, sexual assault, and other serious
65 current New Orleans Police Department officers with domestic violence, payroll fraud, sexual assault, and Lord knows how many are out there driving drunk.
violations.
Very consistently, you've found that there are multiple cases. These are not one-offs.
No, and we have to assume I don't have all of them.
Sergeant Kevin Thompson's case stands out. He spent most of his 20-year career as a traffic cop. He also served in the Public Integrity Bureau, investigating complaints against his fellow officers. But in the wee hours of March 1st, 2021, he was the one in trouble. His girlfriend's car was nose down in a ditch in Slidell. And when state police arrived, Thompson's girlfriend claimed she was the one driving.
Who's the driver?
State Trooper Nicholas Foles
Also, I'd like to note that's lying on an official report. I'm just throwing that out there.
didn't believe her. He pulled her aside and told her he saw the mud caked on Thompson's white sneakers, mud all over the driver's side, and none on the passenger side, nor any on her shoes.
And we'll call that a clue.
Tell me what really happened. No more car, no more other car, no more any of that. Tell me what really happened.
I wasn't driving.
You were definitely driving.
I wasn't. My girl was driving.
No, she wasn't. No, she wasn't.
All right.
Stand right here and face my car.
Thompson was placed under arrest with 2 sets of cuffs for his comfort, but he kept arguing and complaining.
Sir, I promise I was not driving. My girlfriend was driving. It's
And his arms are all the way over here. He has more than 2 sets of cuffs on her. He don't have any cuffs on at all. Because even with 2 sets of cuffs, his arms will not be this far over.
really freaking me out, sir. What's freaking out? I can't be handcuffed. Can't be handcuffed? I'm claustrophobic, I swear.
Dillard criminologist Ashraf Esmail was appalled when he reviewed the footage.
It was one of the funniest things I've ever heard. You're a police officer. You must drive in a car every day, but you sitting in the back seat, you're hyperventilating.
More than an hour later, after falling asleep at the police station, Thompson's blood alcohol was still almost twice the legal limit of .08.
Also, you notice that was more than an hour later. It seems like they were trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, see if he'd come down.
It's 156.
And it
A
did
judge
not.
found Thompson guilty of DWI and reckless driving and sentenced him to supervised probation. Still, Thompson
Supervised probation, that'll teach him, it will not.
later told the NOPD's internal investigator he was so inebriated he couldn't remember if he'd been the one driving or not.
According to NOPD's own policy, if you lie through an administrative investigation, that's grounds for termination.
And I'm sure that will cost him his job, right? Don't hold your breath.
The police department did try to fire Thompson, but he appealed to the Civil Service Commission. He stipulated he had, in fact, been the driver, and the commission gave him his job back.
Because, see, you have to admit guilt. So then there's that way you can keep your job. And apparently get a shit ton more money.
The 45-day suspension.
That'll
And
teach
then at
him.
the end of the day, getting convicted, and then he finally admits it, and then gets back on the force after a month. And so that really shames the process.
Thompson made $74,000 in 2022, the year of his suspension. But after that, his pay tripled to nearly $250,000.
From $74,000 to $243,167. And he's not even the highest rank.
That made him one of the top 10 highest paid officers in all of NOPD each of the last 2 years. An internal NOPD investigation found Thompson repeatedly worked more than the maximum 16.5 hours in a 24-hour period without justification.
How is it possible for a sergeant to be making more than all the assistant chiefs and the chief?
It's an abuse of the system. The
It's
officers
abuse of the damn taxpayers.
have figured out how to manipulate payroll in such a way as to benefit themselves financially.
But nobody's putting a stop to it because you know the higher you go, the more of that shit you're going to find.
Then there's senior police officer Troy Daliet. NOPD's Public Integrity
senior,
Bureau
not special,
investigated
sorry.
Daliet many times over the years and sustained 16 violations, everything from neglect of duty to improper taser use. That was before he was stopped by a state trooper in Jefferson Parish.
Come sit back here for me.
Here he is getting out of the driver's side, buckling his unzipped pants.
We're doing 60 miles an hour and you're swerving all over the roadway.
No, I missed my turn. The driver, I'm trying to drop off.
Where are you headed?
Does he or does he not sound drunk? He does. That's the correct answer. He does. And he's pointing and he can barely stand up.
Her house.
Her house? Where'd she live at?
I don't know. She told me I missed my turn.
Like Sergeant Thompson, Officer Daliet's passenger tried to claim she was the one driving.
I was driving. I was driving.
Then, as Daliet failed each portion of the field sobriety test, he got more belligerent with State Trooper Nicholas
She was trying to say she was driving when he stopped the car and watched him get out.
Swall.
You stopped me for evidently no reason.
No, sir. I explained why I stopped you.
You explained it. It was no reason.
Wall had to call Jefferson Parish Sheriff's deputies for backup.
Because he missing my point. Calm down, though, you. But he missing my point. He wasting my time. I'm hungry, and he wasting my time. Why him?
I think we'd be on the ground face first, missing our teeth with cuffs behind our
think?
back.
Daliet agreed to a pre-trial diversion program and a 60-day suspension. Gallagher and Esmail say they know most NOPD officers are law-abiding, but a few bad apples can
Are they? Because I have tons more of them to show videos that show that they are not. This drunk driving this is not just a couple of them. It's a lot of them.
undermine the public's confidence.
What do these folks have to do to be fired? I mean, it's just, you are representing the community. Your job is to abide by the law and ensure that we are following the law, but you keep breaking one law after the other.
DWIs used to mean automatic termination. Police union attorney Claude Schlesinger said they've worked with the NOPD to get first-time offenders help instead. But he says,
How about take that post and burn it? That'll start with the help.
quote, it depends on how egregious it is.
It should be absolutely egregious. These are supposed to be law enforcement. That's their whole title. And they're breaking it every time you turn around. That's pretty egregious.
David Hammer, WWL, Louisiana.
We were told the officers were not available for interviews,
Of
but
course.
NOPD did send a statement which reads in part, quote, discipline was applied in accordance with civil service rulings, which ultimately determined the final outcome.
Because they're not about any accountability. They're about keeping uniforms filled. Get it through thick heads, people.
Regarding off-duty details and overtime, officers' earnings reflect the work they perform, which are governed by department policies and procedures.
So, yeah. New Orleans, you're going to need to get another job because they're going to need some more damn money for some more cops. Because apparently retention's low. So, anyway, that's what that one's about. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Also, 92% of people that watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. You got your phone in your hand, you're at your laptop, click the button, we'll move along. Let me know what you think about this one, and I'm out.